Kimra Huladunia, Feuchamaich, Olde Scot the Celtic podcast. On today's show, we'll talk about nominative nouns and some new vocabulary in Feuchamaich, Beagan, Gaidhlig, the stone circles of the British Isles, Stonehenge, Callanish, and all those megaliths in our Celtic history segment, the Celtic revival of the 19th century, and that it gave us the love for all things Celtic today, music, art, literature, and more, in our everyday Celtic ways. And we're going to hear music from the Dubliners, Beyond the Pale, Dansa Clondicer, and traditional Scottish Gaelic music from the Highlands. And as always, a little Irish trivia to test your knowledge. What large city in Ireland has the Gaelic name Ballyathlea? And before we all get started, I want to thank you all for those that have been listening to the podcast, and I enjoy the comments and suggestions. Keep them coming. And if you like it, hit that like button and subscribe button and keep the comments rolling. I love them. Okay, but subscribing and liking, that helps us grow. So I appreciate it if you would do that. All right.
As I was going over the far-famed Kerry Mountains, I met with Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. I first produced my pistol and I then produced my rapier, saying stand and deliver, for you are a bold deceiver, mushering da-ma-doo-da-ma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. I counted out his money and it made a pretty penny. I put it in me pocket and I took it home to Jenny. She sighed and she swore that she never would deceive me, but the devil take the women, for they never can be easy, mushering da-ma-doo-da-ma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. I went unto my chamber all for to take a slumber. I dreamt of gold and jewels, and for sure it was no wonder. But Jenny drew me charges and she filled them up with water, then sent for Captain Farrell to be ready for the slaughter, mushering da-ma-doo-da-ma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. And 'twas early in the morning, just before I rose to travel, up comes a band of footmen, and likewise Captain Farrell. I first produced my pistol, for she'd stolen away me rapier. I couldn't shoot the water, so a prisoner I was taken, mushering da-ma-doo-da-ma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. And if anyone can aid me, 'tis my brother in the army. If I can find a station in Cork or in Killarney, and if he'll go with me, we'll go roaming in Kilkenny, and I'm sure he'll treat me better than my sporting Jenny, mushering da-ma-doo-da-ma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar, and mushering da-ma-doo-da-ma-da. Whack fall the daddy-o, whack fall the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. Whoop!
Alright, that was Whiskey in the Jar by the Dubliners from the Legends of Irish Folk Music album. I don't think anybody could, a good Irish band can do Whiskey in the Jar bad. That's just a great, rousing song. The Dubliners have been making great Celtic music for a long time, and I highly suggest you get some of their music if you haven't already. Now, Han Tom and Feuchamaich, Beagan, Gaidhlig, it's time for Let's Try a Little Gaelic. Today we will discuss the nominative case of nouns and some useful verbs. Of course, as always, during our sessions, I will display on the screen what I am discussing. Tusk Shin, let's begin. Alright, this is the basic form used when the noun is either the subject or the direct object in a sentence, such as the boy as subject, the boy is cold, and the boy as direct object. I saw the boy. There's no word for a or an in Gaelic. All indefinite nouns are simply entered without an article, without the a or the an. Nouns are considered to be either masculine or feminine. You see these in the vocabulary sections as either in parentheses a M or parentheses a F, respectively. Now I'll give you some examples. Doris, meaning door, is male. Balak, meaning boy, is also male. And Ty is also male. Now some feminines. Eklis, church, which is female. Lepi, bed, female. And Kalak, female, girl. Now, if you want to know definitely whether a word is female or male, whether it's masculine or feminine, get your dictionary out. Get you a good Gaelic dictionary. And there's no simple rule other than if it seems like it's a male object or thing, it's probably going to be male. Or if it sounds like it could be a feminine thing, then it's probably feminine. But it doesn't always work out that way. So if you definitely want to know, get you a dictionary and look it up. Remember, I'm a learner just like you guys, so I don't know everything. I'm just trying to put some of my knowledge out there. I study before every segment of Feuchamaich Beagan Gaelic, so I'm trying to get you the best knowledge I can of the Gaelic language I can. But some of this is going to be on you. You're going to have to do your homework if you want to learn the language. Now, masculine nouns. The masculine nominative nouns have a definite article as anch before the vowel. It's an T dash before the vowel. Am before words beginning with B, F, M, or P, and an in all other instances. For example, and Shron, the song, and Chuck, the horse, and Balak, the boy, and Pien, the pen, and Dunya, the man, and Shomer, the room. The omission of the T dash is not uncommon in some colloquial speech, though. Now, feminine nouns. The feminine nominative nouns beginning with B, F, M, P, C, or G are all lenited with the definite article A, aspiration. And words beginning with SL, SN, SR, or S vowel have the definite article as in ch, the an, T dash. In all other instances, the definite article is an. A halak, the girl, a firg, the anger, and shnahad, the needle. 100% on these. Like I said, I'm learning just like you guys. And she, the peace, and Avin, the river, and in Leecher, the letter. I know this can seem confusing, but the good news is that not all nominative nouns, whether masculine or feminine, beginning with DT, NR, SG, SM, SP, or ST, all have their definite articles as an, as in love, the hand, and skahan, the mirror, and skian, the knife, and niet, the nest, and anian, the daughter. And you'll see above which one of those were masculine and which one of those were feminine. Now, plurals. The nominative plural definite article in all cases is na. Nachian, the houses. Nakalakan, the girls. Nabalakan, na Ikhlasun, the churches. Now, we're going to give you some vocabulary to go along with this and a few exercises after that. And they'll all be up on the screen for you. I can go through them real quick. Falav, empty. Glan, clean. Salak, dirty. Gyar, sharp. Yussel, low. Che, hot. And then those were some adjectives. Now, bata, boat, Doris, door, Dunya, person or husband, Ek, horse, Gila, lad, book, lock, for lock, Niet, nest, Orden, song, pen, pen, Rahat, road, tie, house, Skahan, mirror, Avin, river, girl, Eklis, church, Firg, anger, Lav, hand, Lepi, bed, Leecher, letter, Oicha, night, as in Oichava, Nian, girl, Skian, knife, as in skin do, Skol, as in school, See, peace, and Snahat, needle. And one more, Shamer, room. There's going to be a few, 5 little sentences for you guys to go through. Translate them from Gaelic to English. And today's lesson is going to be a little bit long because there's a few things. Not only the nominative nouns I wanted you to hear were some verbs, the imperative and the verbal noun, the present participle. So you know how to say something and also what somebody's saying. Okay? The present tense can only be formed using the verb to be, and the verbal noun in the future. We will make the other tenses, but for that we need the imperative form. So whenever you come across a verb, remember these two forms. The imperative, which is the command, and the verbal noun, the present participle. Okay? So, aber, say, achra, saying, huddle, sleep, a huddle, sleeping, bruin, speak, a bruin, speaking, cluin, hear, a clunchen, hearing, Cossack, walk, a Cossack, walking, dounce, a douncing, dounce, dance, a douncing, dancing, Gian, make or do, a Gianiv, making or doing, Ish, listen, ach ishik, listening, Fach, leave, a fakal, leaving, Fich, see, a ficking, seeing, Ich, eat, ach ichja, eating, Lech, read, a legig, reading, Liam, jump, Eliam, jumping, Auber, work, acharber, working, Ol, drink, achol, drinking, Poke, kiss, a pokig, kissing, rock, go, a dole, going, as in, hamiadol an savu, I am going to the shop, ruch, run, a rueth, running, shall, see, a shalchin, seeing or looking, shall is also see or look, chase for stand, a shesiv, standing, shaun for sing, a shine for singing, skriv for write, a skrivig for writing, stat for stop, a stat, stopping, streep for climb, and a streep for climbing, suit, sit, a suit, sitting, halav, leave, a falav, leaving, hick for come, and a chian for coming. Now, I'll give you a couple of examples down here. Ha and dunia latra akaber von achar. The strong man is working under the car. Am veil shakoin aru von avord. Are there 7 dogs running under the table? And Ha'ia fucking a kalak an savu. She is seeing the girl in the shop. All right. Like I said, everything is going to be on display for you so you can look at it, go through it, learn it. These are very important. These are a lot of action words. So have fun and enjoy.
Ora nu on gaat. Ja, je troszkę.
Spóchamaich go huail sin sa glóis mí go dan. Dul Patrick mar uaia, thug bhaine le bas, có aice va dúladis stúcha súntacht chá slán. Charoshing a smunching can be the hul chogya. Gagu ben agus passion siat ranich sakui. Scorcha vullaun a huadiat sa gualaun angdi. Hatok fiel nyo oran. Am braun ring angli skette virgat mis kri bigach solas kanji Hishing trahig is liane hishing elting is spree Hishing kjallig is krians reilten a liane gna speer Ach an leich sin go siari Cosach fiar al no hen Gwym foslet Ach dias dis bianach gie an let hen Sma fiseg ach nabi Gavel sargun kanji Stu variet nach sanadja Sa bjart sin viling Ach ja sin chahel basga Kongish gasen ko Von Janovik ha id vakal Garu gart ruid kroon O gertulich, gertulich, gertulich Shaolin Anjil vi gat chara An talen san nuð Sing a feiking de fastion Spent de graisi at the kui Biong gwine Gebrach gaif sangri a lan gaif de gul Is rianal vikach Han lachge sing the avu Kan javors lekad Vau karantach Foskelch misken dloi aun skachach Gesantanik en noal vulje Huk vuanule pas Snan bieg du Javier show chokjar Ach mi ein de holash Stulet oikri a faz Reis ma va kroyan Skal av natuala santa Aun santa kremach Uasal nach gafuasklu kan va Krechim go kogu nag savitu nag andan Und hat ois an isht tun just nach el tul ducht gebracht duich de graai Bishing ulag gat undranglish a huge pausas
Alright, that was Oren Donald Park, a Gaelic song from the Highlands. There's no artist given, though, on the information, but I like that song. It's pretty good. So now, and that's from a compilation CD called The Rough Guide to Scottish Music. May just be a traditional song. Now we're going to delve into the rich history of our Celtic past in our segment, The Celtic History Break. Today's topic is stone circles of the British Isles, Stonehenge, Callanish, and many others. Most people have heard of Stonehenge, and few may have heard of Callanish in the Outer Hebrides in Scotland on the Isle of Lewis. But most people don't know that hundreds of stone circles are scattered all across the landscape across Ireland, Wales, Isle of Man, Scotland, Cornwall, and Britain. There are even a few across the Channel in Brittany. What are they, and what are their purpose? You see, traces of early humans in Britain go back 400,000 years, but it was not until about 6,000 years ago, after the retreat of the last ice age, that permanent settlement in the islands of Ireland and Britain was commenced by anatomically modern people who would combine hunting and gathering with farming. These early people of Ireland and Britain, possibly ancestors to the Celts, made pottery, which was often decorated with elaborate abstract designs. They also built great megalithic structures, including Stonehenge in Britain, and 5,000-year-old Newgrange in Ireland, and Callanish on the Isle of Lewis. Among the most important of the early European megalithic structures is Ireland's Newgrange. It is a stupendous hillside passage grave, more ancient than Britain's Stonehenge. It is so designed that at midwinter sunset, the entrance allows the sun to shine directly into the cross-shaped burial chamber at the end of the lengthy passage to illuminate the bones of the dead. Overhead is a corbelled stone roof. The tomb's great stones, each weighing many tons, are carved with the richest, most elaborate markings of any European megalithic structure, the meanings of which are presently unknown. Of special interest is a double-spiraled motif carved into a rock, which this writer has found to be the same design used in pieces of bronze jewelry called fibulae, clasps used to join the clothes of the affluent people in Celtic society. They were excavated from ancient Celtic graves in Austria and Germany. Now, Ireland's Newgrange is located near a place called Tara, the seat of Ireland's Celtic High Kings of centuries ago. Now, while they might have not had anything to do in the building of Newgrange, they definitely saw its importance and used it. While it is only a theoretical possibility that the people who built Newgrange and Stonehenge were ancestral to the Celts, it is known with specific certainty that the earliest direct ancestors of the Celts lived in an area now represented by southern Germany, Austria, and Switzerland. They are called the Urnfield people by archaeologists because they interred remains of their cremated dead in pottery urns, placed them in cemeteries, much like what had been found near Newgrange and Stonehenge. All right. Popular present-day beliefs hold that Celtic Druids built the great structure of Stonehenge in Britain. Archaeological evidence indicates, however, that it was built by a much earlier people than the Celts and their priestly Druids, yet the belief persists. When one of Stonehenge's giant upright stones fell in 1900 AD, the monument's modern owner at that time, Sir Edward Antrobus, decided to restrict entry to this megalithic wonder. He built a fence around it and began to charge for admission. All went well at Stonehenge until the next solstice, when a modern self-proclaimed druid had to be removed by the police. So today there's still is very much interested in these stones. Now, the later Bronze Age in Britain and Ireland saw the culmination of a period of momentous social change. The great monuments of the Neolithic period, the stone circles, henges, and processional cursus monuments had fallen into apparent disuse, and the communal graves of the early farming communities had been superseded by the elaborate tombs of prominent individuals. The Neolithic period in Britain was devoid of any signs of secular kings or high chiefs. Instead, the highest status seems to have belonged to priests, who officiated rites of communal ritual at which dispersed communities periodically came together, like at sites like Callanish in Lewis, or Cairn Ample and West Lothian, and the Ring of Broger and Orkney on the Isles just north of Scotland, or the Scottish equivalents of Stonehenge and Avebury in southern England. However, about 2000 BC, these communal monuments underwent dramatic transformations. Some were even dismantled because people didn't know what they were, didn't know there was no historical significance to them. It was just stones that they could use to build cairn housing and other things. The main stone setting at Callanish is one of the finest expressions of the Old Order of the Neolithic and was probably associated with celestial or lunar deities. Such communal monuments would have formed a focus for acts of worship and social contacts between groups of people who perhaps seldom came into direct contact with each other. But the similarities between the large ritual centers in different parts of the British Isles suggest that there was some contact, there was some widespread contact. And I'll display a map, but you can look all across Ireland, Scotland, Wales, Cornwall. There are stone circles. Now, they may not be as elaborate as Callanish or Stonehenge or some of the others, but these small local communities were using these for worship, maybe as a calendar. I mean, they could have used them for any number of reasons, but the fact that they were coming together, that there was some kind of order to it, suggests that a high intelligence among these people. All right. I hope you got something out of that today. It's a very complicated issue, and a lot of archaeologists still don't understand everything involved with these stone circles. So, if you want, there's a great book out there called Celtic Scotland by Ian Armitt. It's all about these megaliths and ancient buildings, saying if you like it, it's a great read. Enjoy.
Banbridge town in the county down one morning last July. From a boring green came a sweet Colleen, and she smiled as she passed me by. She looked so sweet from her two bare feet to the sheen of her nut brown hair. Such a coaxing elf, sure shook myself out to see I was really there. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town, not a maid I've seen like the brown Colleen that I met in the county town. She onward sped, sure shook my head, and I looked with a feeling rare. So says I to a passer-by, who's the maid with the nut-brown hair? He smiled at me and he says he, that's a gem of Ireland's crown. Young Rosie McCann from the banks of the Bann, she's the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. Not a maid I've seen like the brown Colleen that I met in the county down. Elijah was a wooden Indian standing over by the door. Well, he fell in love with the Indian maiden over in the antique store. Well, he stood there and never made a sign, because his heart was made of knotty pine. Well, poor old Elijah never got a kiss. Poor old Elijah don't know what he missed. Well, is it any wonder that his face is red? Elijah, the poor old wooden. At the harvest fair she was surely there, and her dress in the Sunday clothes, with her shoes shone bright and her hat cocked right, for a smile from a nut-brown rose. No pipe I'll smoke, no horse I'll yoke, till my plough turns a rust-coloured brown, till the smiling bride by my own fireside is the star of the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. Not a maid I've seen like the brown Colleen that I met in the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. Not a maid I've seen like the brown Colleen that I met in the county down. From Bantry Bay up to Derry Quay, and from Galway to Dublin town. Not a maid I've seen like the brown Colleen that I met in the county down.
That was Beyond the Pale, star of the County Down, from their Angel on the Seventh Stair album. Beyond the Pale is a group we used to listen to at the festivals in Texas when I lived there. They could really get a crowd going. But now it's time for Everyday Celtic Ways, a look into how our Celtic heritage is still much very a part of our everyday lives. Today on Everyday Celtic Ways, we will talk about the 19th century Celtic revival and how and why it happened, and its influence on Ireland and other Celtic lands today. After the golden era of Irish monastic art was ended by the advent of Vikings, Celtic culture gradually degraded, surviving only in parts of Scotland and Ireland until the 19th century, when there was an upsurge in the discovery, practice, and understanding of Celtic art. This mini Renaissance spanned literature and antiquities, as well as fine arts, which is painting and sculpture, applied arts and crafts, a sort of mini Renaissance in the history of Irish art. It appeared across Ireland, coinciding with the discovery of ancient metalworks like the Petrie crown and the Tara brooch in Scotland, and to lesser extent Wales and Cornwall. Now, what caused this Celtic revival? This renewed interest in traditional Celtic art forms. This renewed interest in traditional Celtic art forms coincided with at least 4 related events or issues. First, there was a growing Irish nationalism of the 19th century, reflecting centuries of resentment at the suppression of Irish culture. Reviving it became a form of political expression, the spirit of rebellion being maintained through the celebration of Ireland's historic past, through its myths, legends, and folklore. The Irish had been oppressed and subjugated, aspects of their culture even made illegal, just like in Scotland. So a rebellious spirit arose that made holding tight to ancient myths and legends ever more important in an attempt not to lose their identity. Now, second, the 1830s saw the beginning of the Irish antiquarian movement, led by individuals like George Petrie, the Irish antiquary, archaeologist, and topical watercolorist of the 19th century. Petrie was responsible for the Royal Irish Academy's acquisition of many historic Irish manuscripts, Hiberno-Saxon insular metalwork, and other Celtic artworks. Two of the National Museum of Ireland's most famous antiquities, the Tara brooch and the Ardagh chalice, were discovered in the mid-19th century and subsequently copied in Celtic Revival jewelry, art, and metalwork. The antiquarian movement was followed by the Young Ireland movement, which just furthered the nationalist movement. The third factor which contributed to the growing interest in the culture of Ireland's ancient Celts was a literary movement led by W.B. Yeats, which took place in the late 19th century and early 20th century. This triggered a new appreciation of traditional Irish literature and Irish poetry. Together with Lady Gregory and Edwin Martin Yeats, formed an Irish National Theatre, the Abbey Theatre, to promote Irish literature in English. Works included The Playboy of the Western World by J.M. Synge and The Plough and the Stars by Sean O'Casey. Other active members of the Celtic literary movement included A.E. Russell, Percy French, Oliver St. John Geraghty, Pádraic Colum, and Edward Plunkett. Fourthly, in the mid-19th century, archaeologists uncovered two dramatic hoards of Celtic artifacts and relics at Hallstatt in Austria and Latane, Switzerland. These discoveries stimulated an interest in European culture in general and ancient Celtic culture in particular. The idea of having a common ancestor across Europe kicked off a movement to study Celtic origins, to pursue Celtic archaeology, and try to understand this hugely misunderstood people. With each and every discovery, the Celts' forgotten influence was revealed, and even though much more study is needed, this revival has given the world a much better understanding of who the Celts were. The Celtic identity that had been relegated to the scrap heap had been brought forward and shown to have had significant impact on the world as we know it. The Celts weren't just a people of ancient stories. They weren't ignorant barbarians with a lust for war and conquest. They were a people that in some ways were higher developed than the Romans of the same time, and in some ways still kept one foot in the old traditions with their druids. If the various Celtic tribes had ever banded together, they would have been a formidable force and a powerful enemy. And Julius Caesar wrote about them on end. Now, normally, when Julius Caesar defeated the Celts in the Gaul Wars, he defeated them in the Gaul Wars, but he wrote, normally when the victor was right about their enemies, they would put them in the worst light possible, and yet he didn't. He did to a certain extent, but he also gave them credit where credit was due, and you got to give that to the Celts for being such a formidable force against the Romans. And that's it for Everyday Celtic Ways. Well, that's it for today's show. I hope you liked it. I'm trying to keep it interesting, informative, and fun. For me, anytime you can infuse some Celtic into your day, that's a good day. Now, today's answer to the trivia question, Ballyeth Clia, it's actually in Gaelic, that means the town near the ford, is Dublin, Ireland. Martian Leven Drozda, bye for now. We're going to play you out with some harp songs from a Welsh musician named Dansa Clondicer, and the song is The Harpy Set.